I'm going to start this video a little bit differently than usual. I'm going to share a story back in early 2000. I want to say 18 and a half, somewhere in that region. And it was back when I first went to college. I joined a group called Phi Theta Kappa and quickly became an officer because it was a small chapter and there just wasn't a whole lot of people there. And I quickly got Army volunteered, essentially, to go to a conference, which I found out quickly they have conferences for these things all over the place. And the first night, there was this icebreaker activity, and you're asked to find people who meet certain requirements. Meet someone who plays a musical instrument, meet someone who plays sports. And one of the requirements was meet someone of a different religion than yourself. And I heard this woman complaining that she didn't know anyone that wasn't a Christian. It just blew her mind that anyone there could be anything other than a Christian. So I thought I would help her out. And also being 18 and young and ignorant, thought, what's the harm that could come from just saying, hey, well, I'll help you out. I'm an atheist. And really the conversation went really, really well. At least I felt like at that time, it seemed like she was very open-minded and, she didn't understand really what an atheist was. And I explained it to her. I explained my viewpoints and it seemed to go fairly well. Anyways, the next day, my group and I decided we'd split up and go into different sessions because the day was split up into sessions. It's almost like classes. And we would go to different sessions and see what they each had to offer. And one of the sessions I went to ended up being hosted by the woman I talked to. And she started off the session saying that it's very important to keep an open mind because the night before she had met the nicest devil worshiper she had ever imagined meeting. I found myself just dumbfounded. I was just like, I suppose it's possible she'd met a devil worshiper after she'd met me. But I find that almost impossible. It's almost certainly she was talking about me, and she had completely misunderstood what atheism was by leaps and bounds. And I just found myself, what do I do? Do I stand up and say, what are you talking about? I'm not a devil worshiper. I'm an atheist. That just, at that time, didn't make sense. Still doesn't make sense to me today to do that, because I would be outing myself, one, and when I get one-on-one time with a person, clearly they don't have any idea what atheism is. So to go and try to say, hey, I'm not a devil worshiper, I'm an atheist, to a whole classroom of people, am I just going to end up with a whole classroom of people who think I'm a devil worshiper? And also, what if it wasn't me? It's possible. It's not. It was definitely me. I mean, you know that from the story, and I know that. But, maybe it wasn't. So, really, the best option I had was to be quiet. Because the third thing that I didn't even go into, she's preaching being open-minded. She's being, you should be respectful to people, even if they have something way outside of what you believe in. And, and I thought that was a really good message. Unfortunately, she completely misunderstood what my, belief system was, or, lack thereof. And the reason I'm sharing this story is because this movie and the woman I talked to have one thing very much in common, and one thing very different. Both this movie and this woman completely misunderstand atheism. They don't have any idea what it is. It just blows their mind what it could possibly be. And they can't process it. What this woman in this movie have different is that while this woman was at least preaching open-mindedness and, being respectful to those, even if they're totally different from what you are, this movie preaches ignorance and hate and is just, generally speaking, a terrible, terrible movie.
for the young man who took up the gauntlet to defend God's honor. And you know who you are. I can only imagine the smile you put on God's face. This one goes out to you.
Christian movies are becoming bigger and bigger in the US. Just look at this movie. It made $60 million on a budget of only $2 million. One of my all-time favorite movies has much worse numbers than that. And this film does have an interesting premise, I'll give it that. The debate between atheism and theism is something I've always found fascinating. Unfortunately, the debate promised by this movie is rarely delivered. And when it is, it's massively one-sided. You might think, of course it's one-sided, it's a Christian movie. But then I have to ask, what's the point of this movie? If it's not to present this debate in an interesting and insightful manner, then what's its goal? It certainly wasn't to present an engaging and entertaining movie, that's for damn sure. This is easily the worst movie I've reviewed on here so far. This movie has two modes, offensively stupid and painfully boring. The movie pretends to be about the debate between atheism and theism, or more specifically Christianity, and let's face it, you could make a good movie about that. If you only focus on that aspect and maybe do something like Oleana, where it's two people throughout the whole movie going back and forth and the discussion steadily gets more and more serious. This movie likes to think it's smart like that, but it's just plain stupid. In fact, it's hard to find an aspect of this movie that isn't painfully stupid right down to the protagonist's name.
Name? Wheaton. Josh Wheaton.
This movie makes no attempt at all to treat both sides equally. Our main protagonist is a Christian, and our main antagonist is an atheist, and you know he's evil because he has a goatee. Would it be way too much to hope that this movie took two protagonist approach? I have to question who's this movie's target audience. This is offensive to atheists, and if you're a Christian, this movie treats you like a stupid child holding your hand through all the conclusions.
Learn to circumnavigate or go around the person's intellect.
Just go along with this movie and don't think for yourself. Frankly, I'm not sure who should be more offended by this movie. Sure, atheists are villainized, but at least they aren't treated like they can't think for themselves. Willie Robertson is in this movie. Could they have found a more ignorant and hateful celebrity to shoehorn into this? Although honestly, outside of the occasional outbursts you hear from these guys, I don't really know who Willie Robertson is. So I guess I should give him the benefit of the doubt and go ahead and watch some Duck Dynasty and familiarize myself with them. I made it all the way to the 2.5 minute mark. I don't get it. These guys seem to represent everything I hate.
The bottom line is the only good beaver is one with a bullet in his head.
But they're also terrible actors. I find it amazing that they're supposed to be playing themselves, yet they're just terrible at it.
Brad just called.
Yeah?
We sent them 1,000 duck pickers.
What'd they order?
Triple threats.
Just send them triple threats.
There's like 3 in the bin back there.
How does this work? Is this movie honestly trying to sell me that faith in God affects the quality of care you get from a rental agency? And this agent brings them a non-working car and doesn't bring them a replacement until the next day. Why isn't he or his boss or all the above fired?
How'd your audition go?
I'm pretty good. I'm up for the role of Biff.
Holy shit, how old is the guy playing Willie?
Now I'm asking you to show faith.
Okay.
Bullshit.
So Dean Cain's girlfriend gets a terminal form of cancer. Of course, he breaks up with her because the atheists in this movie are well represented, and her condition worsens. But don't worry, we find out what she actually needs is some good hard praying. Thank God the newsboys are here to pray that cancer away. Seriously, this movie is pitching to us the idea that praying cures cancer. She's freaking out to the newsboys, they do some praying to get the cancer cleansed from her, and that's the end of her story. I guess in this movie's universe, if you die from cancer, you just didn't pray it away hard enough. The moral is, if you get cancer, you better make sure to get down on your knees and start pleasing Jesus.
I wanna get down on my knees and start pleasing Jesus. I wanna feel his salvation all over my face.
I don't have a problem with this part of the story per se. I think it's good to show how people can be disrespectful or even downright abusive to people of other religions. Of course, since this movie is about Christianity versus atheism, would it not be reasonable to expect an example of atheist persecution instead of constant examples of Christian persecution? They have a scene that would fit this well. Just imagine if this scene was Professor Radisson, who said he didn't believe in God, and the crowd laughed and ignored his viewpoint. That would be an accurate representation of how atheists are frequently treated in America, but instead they flip it.
Look, I know I am in the minority here, but I actually believe in God.
Making the Christian the minority. This is utterly bizarre and unrealistic. Let me run by a couple of numbers. While around 20% of Americans would identify as non-religious, only 9 to 10% would identify as atheist. Now let's compare that to the number of Americans that would identify as Christian. 73% of the American population considers themselves Christian. This scene is a missed opportunity and shows how biased this movie is. To make the Christian the odd one out when it's really the atheist who frequently feel like the outcast is just wrong in my opinion. It doesn't represent America, it doesn't represent reality, it just represents this fantasy world the movie created for itself. I think it's really telling what this movie thinks of atheists when you watch the story and actions of the two main atheists in this movie. I like to do insider trading because I'm an atheist, and atheists ignore laws.
Hey, I need you to give me directions.
You want directions? That'll take me 2 minutes, but I'm an atheist, so I only do stuff there's something in it for me.
You're kidding, right? You're serious. Okay, well, I'm on my way to an ambush interview of Duck Commander Willie Robertson, and I am going to crash that party and hold his feet to the fire.
Holy shit, you're gonna do something that attacks Christians? Well, I'm all in then. Atheism, bitches. Holy shit, am I still in this movie? I was just named partner, so now I get to do an evil laugh.
I think I have cancer. Did you hear me? Did you hear what I just said? I have cancer.
I heard you. I just don't know how to respond. Your performance is just terrible.
What? How can you say that to me? I thought you loved me.
Well, as an atheist, I'm incapable of love and other emotions.
How did I not see this in you?
I'm sorry, your performance is just so awful. I gotta leave this scene before I laugh my ass off.
Do we have to put up with this? I mean, can't we get a better actor? I know it's a small part, but I think we can do better than this.
Seriously, if you cut me out of this movie, what would you lose?
Sometimes the devil allows people to live a life free of trouble because he doesn't want them turning to God. Their sin is like a jail cell accepted. It's all nice and comfy, and there doesn't seem to be any need to leave. The door's wide open till one day time runs out. The cell door slams shut.
damn, my crazy mother is telling me I'm crazy, sinful asshole. But screw her. Atheism, bitches. Oh man, fuck this text. Atheism, bitches. Welcome to my class. Now, you all need to become atheists. Otherwise, I will fail you. I'll use shame and peer pressure to get you to become atheists. Something Christians never do. Atheism, bitches.
Yeah, I can't. I can't do what you want. I'm a Christian.
Well, shit, you're gonna prove there is a God? Since that's impossible, I'll let you do lectures with my class time and agree to your conditions about the debate, because while I have no problem using my power to intimidate you throughout this whole movie, I'll let it fly now.
Years, most scientists agreed with Aristotle on the idea of a steady-state universe, that the universe has always existed with no beginning and no end. But the Bible disagreed. In the 1920s, Belgian astronomer George Lemaitre, a theist, who's actually also...
What's a theist?
I'm just gonna sit here and twiddle my thumbs while you make your case. I would debate you, like this movie is promising, but I can't be bothered with that right now.
So, action, Gus, or...
Jesus, Ben, I said I'm busy.
Hey, I'm porking Mark Shelley's sister. That will have no effect on the story whatsoever. Atheism!
Look, I know I am in the minority here, but I actually believe in God.
All the cool kids are atheists, and we like to shame Christians, because that's what real life is like. You stupid theist!
It's been cooked.
It tastes like it was sunning in a moldy basement.
Talk about your grapes of wrath.
I bought it before I went shopping the other day. I locked it in the trunk. And when I got home, I forgot about it.
Looks like it's Greek to her.
Now, if you'll all excuse me, it's time for the help to depart.
Oh damn, my girlfriend doesn't like it when I make fun of her in front of my friends. Shit, I thought bitches love that shit. Atheism!
It's like this. If I say to you that I can prove that Spam is the best tasting food that's ever existed because in all of history, no food has ever tasted better, you'd probably look at me strange and say I haven't proven anything, and you'd be right. All I've done is restate my original claim.
Time to check my Twitter feed and let this kid talk about lots of things besides proving God.
He assumed maybe some lightning hit a stagnant pool full of the right kind of chemicals. Bingo, a living something. But it's just not that simple.
Man, this kid is really good at twisting facts and distorting the truth. Now it's time for me to actually turn in a good performance and make a decent case for at least ignoring God. Too bad I waited for the class to leave before I did this.
Jeffrey, I'm leaving you.
I don't accept shit I don't like. Atheism, bitches! I'm gonna fail your brains out.
Why do you hate God? Because he took everything away from me. Yes, I hate God. All I have for him is hate.
How can you hate someone if they don't exist?
Oh shit, you just laid a smackdown on me with a terrible argument. Rather than point out how stupid that argument is, I'm gonna give you an evil atheism stare. Wow, I am truly a dickhead. And of course, me being a dickhead is because I'm an atheist. So I better become a Christian right away. Shit, the Newsboys are playing? I need to go see that right now. Damn, I'm dying. I better become a Christian fast, because that's what atheists do. We don't think long and hard about religion and life before choosing to become an atheist. We just switch back and forth whenever it's convenient. Atheism! Now let me take a time out here. I have a theory about the ending of this movie. See, Professor Radisson is hit by the car and dies within 5 minutes of the newsboys praying away Amy's cancer. I think it's fair to say that the newsboys cured Amy's cancer, but now her death had to be transferred to someone else. And it was, to Professor Radisson. See, I think it's clear the newsboys channeled their godly powers to ensure Amy would become a Christian and that an atheist would die in her place. Because the moral of this movie is you need to become a Christian. Because if you're an atheist, you're evil and deserve to die.
Pray for you. Real quick.
Oh, that's perfect.
Cool.
So much for sunny and clear skies.
Dear God, we don't know your plan for Amy, Lord. God, we're asking you would save her tonight, Lord. Change her, cleanse her, give her a fresh start, Lord. Let her know that she's loved. And more importantly,
after all, they treat this night as if it's good.
What happened here tonight is a cause for celebration. Pain, yes, for just a few moments. But now, think about the joy in heaven.
Let's review what this movie calls a debate and see how an intelligent person would handle these issues. Would an intelligent person come to the same conclusion on God as this class does?
Atheists say that no one can prove the existence of God.
That is absolutely true. There is no evidence of an existence of God.
And they're right. But I say no one can disprove that God exists.
It's not our job to disprove it. We aren't making an extraordinary claim, so why should an atheist come up with extraordinary proof? The person making the extraordinary claim needs to back it up.
Oh, I'm a failure because I haven't got a brain.
But the only way to debate this issue is to look at the available evidence, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to put God on trial.
Whoa, that movie sounds awesome. Too bad we're watching this instead. Next, he goes over the Big Bang and steady state universe, none of which gives us any evidence to the proof of God. Then he takes a Hawking quote out of context and harps on it for a while. It's worth noting that disproving Hawking has no bearing on the existence of God, so I have no idea what his angle is. Then he goes after evolution for a while, which again has no bearing on the existence of God. Then he does the whole morality spiel, because everyone who is an atheist is immoral, and only Christians can be truly moral or some shit. And then we finally get to a God argument, and it simply blows my mind. It's that incredible.
So why do you hate him? Why? It's a very simple question, Professor. Why do you hate God?
Because he took everything away from me. Yes, I hate God. All I have for him is hate.
How can you hate someone if they don't exist?
Oh yes, the big final argument that God must exist because it's impossible to hate something that doesn't exist, right? Okay, now let's conduct a thought experiment here. Let's stick a whole bunch of Star Wars fans together and ask if they hate Jar Jar Binks. The overwhelming answer will be yes. After all, how could you not hate that stupid piece of crap? But using this movie's logic, this proves that Jar Jar Binks really exists.
Seeing the science in the arguments, science supports his existence. You know the truth.
You said people gonna die?
That is some scary shit. That's the problem. You can hate things that don't exist. You can hate concepts, ideas, and beliefs. And yes, even gods. It doesn't prove they are real any more than it proves that Jar Jar Binks is real.
You've proven nothing.
True. While it has no bearing on the God argument, I thought I'd go ahead and poke a few holes in his other arguments.
So let's look at theoretical physicist and Nobel Prize winner Steven Weinberg's description of what the Big Bang would have looked like. And since he's an atheist, we can be sure there isn't any believer bias in his description. In the beginning, there was an explosion, and in 3 minutes, 98% of the matter there is or ever will be was produced. We had a universe. In the 1920s, Belgian astronomer Georges Lemaitre, a theist, he said that the entire universe, jumping into existence in a trillionth of a second, out of nothingness in an unimaginably intense flash of light, is how he would expect the universe to respond if God were to actually utter the command in Genesis 1:3, "Let there be light."
It's also what might have happened if a giant space squid ate 1 billion tons of P.F. Chang's and lit that fart on fire. It's also what might have happened if, in the butterfly effect, Ashton Kutcher set himself so far back in time that nothing existed except him and his ego exploded. Fact is, we don't know how it was created, and we will likely never know. It's something you get used to as an atheist. The knowledge that the human race actually has very little knowledge, and that certain things will likely be unknowable for our entire lifespan, if not our entire existence as a species.
If I say to you that I can prove that Spam is the best tasting food that's ever existed because in all of history no food has ever tasted better, you'd probably look at me strange and say I haven't proven anything, and you'd be right.
Okay, how about I look at you and say, I can prove that everything was created by God because he is the origin of all life. I haven't proven anything either.
But if you can't bear to disagree with Hawking's thinking, then I suggest that you turn to page 5 of his book where he insists philosophy is dead.
Oh, I'm a failure because I haven't got a brain.
You see, Darwin claimed that the ancestry of all living things came from that one single simple organism, which reproduced and was slowly modified over time into the complex life forms we view today. But it's just not that simple.
I'm going to let someone far smarter than me or anyone involved with this movie field this one.
We all understand the twinge of discomfort at the thought that we share a common ancestor with the apes. No one can embarrass you like a relative. A central premise of traditional belief is that we were created separately from all the other animals. It's easy to see why this idea has taken hold. It makes us feel special. But what about our kinship with the trees? How does that make you feel? Okay, here's a segment of the oak tree's DNA. Think of it like a barcode. The instructions written in the code of life tell the tree how to metabolize sugar. Now let's compare it with the same section of my own DNA. The DNA doesn't lie. This tree and me, we're long-lost cousins. And it's not just the trees. If you go back far enough, you'll find that we share a common ancestor with the butterfly, gray wolf, mushroom, shark, bacterium, sparrow. What a family. Other parts of the barcode vary from species to species. That's what makes the difference between an owl and an octopus. Unless you have an identical twin, there's no one else in the universe with the exact same DNA as you.
Well, as noted, author Lee Strobel pointed out that if you can picture the entire 3.8 billion years that scientists have say life has been around as one 24-hour day, in the space of just about 90 seconds, most major animal groups suddenly appear in the forms in which they currently hold, not slowly and steadily, as Darwin predicted, but in evolutionary terms, almost instantly.
You compress 3.8 billion years into a day and are saying 90 seconds is short. Let me do the math. That 90 seconds is actually 4 million years. It's almost like he's trying to make it sound smaller than it actually is.
Now, it's been said that evil is atheism's most potent weapon against the Christian faith, and it is. After all, the very existence of evil begs the question, if God is all good and God is all powerful, why does he allow evil to exist? The answer at its core is remarkably simple. Free will. God allows evil to exist because of free will. From the Christian standpoint, God tolerates evil in this world on a temporary basis, so that one day those who choose to love him freely will dwell with him in heaven, free from the influence of evil, but with their free will intact.
God is convoluted. He gives you free will and demands that you use it to worship him or else? What the fuck? Why dick with giving us free will? Is he just testing people? I also like how he doesn't care if you've lived a good or honest life. You either believe in him or you don't, and that's all that matters.
Professor Robertson, who's clearly an atheist, doesn't believe in moral absolutes, but his course syllabus says he plans to give us an exam during finals weeks. Now, I'm betting that if I manage to get an A in the exam by cheating, he'll suddenly start sounding like a Christian, insisting it's wrong to cheat, that I should have known that. And yet, what basis does he have?
In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter if he cheats. But since the point of the class is to learn and the point of the test to figure out what you've learned, then cheating would make the test pointless.
For Christians, the fixed point of morality, what constitutes right and wrong, is a straight line that leads directly back to God.
Oh, so you're saying that we need a God to be moral, that a moral atheist is an impossibility.
No, but with no God, there's no real reason to be moral. I mean, there's not even a standard of what moral behavior is. For Christians, lying, cheating, stealing, in my example, stealing a grade I didn't earn, are forbidden. It's a form of theft. But if God does not exist, as Dostoevsky famously pointed out, if God does not exist, then everything is permissible.
No, it doesn't. Morals exist pretty much so our civilization can be civil. We figured out that by working together, we can reach far greater feats than we can alone. However, if a person murders or steals or is even dishonest, it will mean we cannot trust each other, and that means we cannot function as a society. There are many Christians who are immoral, and many atheists who are moral. Morality is not dictated by religion or even God. Seriously, if you think everything is permissible without God, then you're a psychopath.
And not only permissible, but pointless.
Hate to break it to you, but it kinda is. But it is important to treat people how you would wish to be treated. Therefore, if you wish to be treated with kindness and respect, you should treat others with kindness and respect. But if you really want to look at the grand scheme of things, yeah, it's pointless.
Listen, Professor Robertson is right. Then all of this, all of our struggle, our debate, whatever we decide here is meaningless.
Yes, it is.
I mean, our lives and ultimately our deaths are no more consequence than that of a goldfish.
Yeah, pretty much. People are remembered longer, but nothing lasts forever.
What you're teaching here isn't philosophy. It's not even atheism anymore. What you're teaching is anti-theism.
Oh, I'm a failure because I haven't got a brain.
Hey.
How was your flight?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. It's like a 30-hour flight.
36.
Great to see you.
Nice to see you. Whew. Dakar to Zurich, Zurich to Frankfurt, an 8-hour layover, and direct to Qatar International.
Oh. How does that translate as wonderful?
I'm happy, I'm safe, and I'm here because God is good.
All the time.
And all the time,
God is good.
I can't stand this guy. He's always so chipper, certain that God will sort everything out. People are allowed to be unhappy, and no one is happy 24/7 just because they believe in God. But really, what drives home my hatred of this character is his line at the end of this abomination.
what happened here tonight is a cause for celebration. Pain, yes, for just a few moments. But now, think about the joy in heaven.
He's talking about what a great day it's been because someone died and it made joy in heaven. I'm sorry, you don't experience joy when someone dies. Not unless you're a psychopath. Heck, maybe this guy's meant to be the Christian psychopath to counteract Dean Cain's character. Here's a sad fact. Those bits with the debate are by far the best parts of the movie. Yes, they are enragingly stupid, but at least they get a response from me. Otherwise, this movie is intensely boring. Hell, get a load of this opening. It's enough to put you to sleep 3 minutes into the movie. It's terrible. Here's the big shock of this movie. Kevin Sorbo makes a surprisingly good villain. Unfortunately, that's not the role that would have best suited Professor Robertson.
Disappointed!
If they were honestly trying to present us with a debate of atheism versus theism, then a two-protagonist approach would have been welcome. Allow both sides to be equally represented and allow the audience to make their own choices. Treat your audience like they have some intelligence. But that is not what this movie does. This movie insults atheists with the villains chosen to represent them. It only shows Christians as these noble crusaders fighting the good and noble fight against impossible odds. By the way, those odds are approximately 73-9 in their favor in America. Here's the kicker. If you're a Christian, you should be insulted by this movie. It handholds you through every step and never stops to let you ask questions.
Learn to circumnavigate or go around the person's intellect.
Everything is so clear-cut in this movie's universe. I give this one a 0 out of 10. This movie treats atheists like villains, which is actually better than it treats the Christians. It treats Christians like stupid children that have to be guided and told every step on their path. Really doesn't matter what your faith is or lack thereof. This movie has a little bit in there to insult everyone.
No, I didn't hear anything.